After my family went bankrupt, I became the kept lover of a powerful man. Every day, I played the part of the sweet, obedient little darling. Soft voice, wide eyes, a pitiful pout or two. Until the day he caught me. Caught me swinging someone's head into a concrete wall. He froze, stunned. Oh? I stared back, just as stunned. A beat of silence passed. Then I cleared my throat, pitched my voice high and sweet. Honey. He was the one who wanted to become one with the wall, I swear. Welcome to History channel. Subscribe to follow all our latest adventures. Story begins. My dad's a nouveau riche loudmouth, my mom's a witch, and my brother's been waiting to turn 30 so he can officially become a wizard. And me? I used to be a school tyrant. To this day, legends of my reign still echo through the halls of Elite High. We were a family of glorious weirdos. So when I first heard we'd gone bankrupt, I didn't take it seriously. I kept eating, kept playing, business as usual. Until one day I came home to find the front gate sealed shut with a government notice. My dad and brother were just standing outside, casually chatting. As if it was the neighbor who'd lost everything. Didn't think we'd actually go bankrupt. Yeah, the court works pretty fast. Oh? Then my dad spotted me. Hey, our little treasure's home. 5 minutes later. I stood there numb. My dad was clinging to my leg, tears and snot streaming down his face. Sweetheart. You don't want to go back to the days when we split one piece of bread 3 ways, do you? I really didn't. But more importantly, I wanted to live. I grabbed my dad by the collar, grinding out every word. You want me to seduce Michael Palmer? Are you insane? Michael Palmer. The top dog of Newtown. The kind of man who could squash me like a bug without blinking. Women who tried to climb into his bed didn't make it out unscathed. If they made it out at all. Send me to seduce him? What? Was my death wish not obvious enough? Why don't you send my brother instead? You think he's off the hook? You two are a package deal. Double the bait, double the chance. You've got to be kidding me. But I went. Because our entire family had zero risk awareness, and by the time the authorities were done seizing our assets, the 3 of us couldn't scrape together $1,000. Laughable, really. So if I had to sell my pride, I figured I might as well aim high. Maybe I'd even get some hush money out of it. My dad tracked down Michael Palmer's whereabouts. That night, I used my trusty lock-picking skills and snuck into the room he was supposedly in. Moved like a thief, heart pounding like a drum. Then I turned around. At least 6 or 7 men were seated inside. All of them staring straight at me. My legs went weak. I nearly dropped to my knees on the spot. God help me. No one said there'd be an audience. I thought it'd be just him. Someone asked who I was looking for. I tried to keep calm, scanned the room. Had no idea which one was the target. So I bit the bullet and said, Michael Palmer. Everyone's expressions shifted. All their eyes turned toward the same man. He raised an eyebrow at me. I blinked. No one said a word, so I stole a few more glances. He sat there casually. Tie slightly loosened, shirt sleeves rolled up to the forearms. A luxury watch glinted on his wrist as his fingers idly spun the rim of a glass. Yeah, definitely rich. Probably him. Someone began to stand. Michael, this girl. But Michael Palmer cut him off and crooked a finger at me. Come here. I rushed over and plopped down beside him without a second thought. The others exchanged glances, clearly confused. But surprisingly, one by one, they all got up and left. In the end, it was just me and Michael Palmer left in the private room. I hadn't even finished the fruit platter. But I didn't dare touch it anymore. Awkwardly, I put down the fork. Michael Palmer watched me, a lazy smile playing at his lips. Done eating. Full, I replied stiffly. What did you come to see me for? I scratched my head. It's not like I could just blurt out the truth. Hey, I'm broke and hoping you'll become my sugar daddy. Maybe fall for my face and throw money at me for no reason. No, I had to ease into it. I looked up, trying to appear sincere. Could you maybe give me some money? How much? Crap. That question always stumped me. I grew up dirt poor. Then my dad won a lottery jackpot and we were suddenly swimming in cash. The result? I had zero concept of how money actually worked. Ask for too much, and Michael Palmer might get pissed. Ask for too little, and, well, I'd just be short again. Cautiously, I ventured. 100,000? I watched his face closely. Michael let out a sharp laugh. My heart skipped a beat. Suddenly, I remembered all the terrifying rumors about him. Was I about to die over this? Panicked, I backpedaled. 80,000. No, 50. 50's totally fine. He took a sip of wine, then said slowly. Dream on. I'll give you 25 at most. What's your name? Wait, I'm not dead? And I'm still getting 25 grand? Paige Keitlinger. Michael frowned slightly, thinking for a moment. From the Keitlinger family that just went bankrupt? Was my dad that notorious? I nodded sheepishly. Michael pulled out his phone and opened the ad contact screen. Let's make a deal. He said a lot of things. Honestly, I only caught a few keywords. Pay off your family's debts and 20 grand a month. I nodded so fast my head nearly flew off. I'd done it. I'd hooked the big fish. Back home, I sat in my squeaky clean room staring at our message thread, still processing how things had escalated so fast. Then, ding. My whole body stiffened. I bit my lip, eyes boring holes into my screen. Michael Palmer. Ready? I'm coming to pick you up. Tears welling, I typed. I'm ready. And dragged my suitcase to the front door. My dad and brother clung to each other, sobbing dramatically. Sweetheart. You did it. Dad's so proud of you. Did you memorize the lover's rulebook I sent you last night? Seriously. Michael Palmer's car was already parked in front of my house. I climbed in with a stiff smile, trying to act natural. Before long, we pulled up in front of his luxury apartment downtown. He didn't get out of the car. Instead, he just gave me the code to the front door. Think you can manage on your own? Sure. Is anything off limits in your place? Michael paused, then chuckled. No. From now on, this is your home too. Get some rest. I'll pick you up tonight for a banquet. Then he drove off, saying he had work to do. I dragged my suitcase upstairs. Not much to unpack, really. I flopped onto the sofa and pulled up the lover's rulebook my brother had sent me. Rule 1. Never hit the sugar daddy. Rule 2. The sugar daddy is your sky. Don't piss him off. Rule 3. He's not your boyfriend. Know your place. Rule 4. Sweet talk. Lots of sweet talk. What kind of nonsense? No one else was home. I finally relaxed, sprawled on the couch, zoning out. Michael had said he was grateful I helped him dodge some annoying women last night. That's why he helped pay off my family's debt. In return, he wanted a long-term arrangement. At public events, I'd be his date. And since we were already pretending, might as well move in too. Yikes. Definitely sounded like a lover arrangement. I shot upright and decided to reread that stupid rulebook more seriously. Night fell quietly. Michael texted me. Come downstairs. I clacked down the steps in my heels. Even after changing into the formal gown and arriving at the venue, I was a nervous wreck. It was my first time at such a high society event. I clung to Michael's arm so tightly I probably creased his custom suit. He patted my hand with a smile. Relax. Right. What do you call me? My mind blanked. All I could hear was my dad's wailing voice. Sweetheart, the whole family's counting on Michael Palmer now. Don't you dare piss him off. And my brother's ridiculous messages. Sweet talk, huh? Without thinking, I blurted out. Husband. As soon as the word left my mouth, I wanted to slap myself. But when I looked up, I saw a flicker of amusement in Michael's eyes. That emboldened me. I said it again. Louder. Husband? He whispered. Turned out, saying it wasn't that embarrassing after all. The evening went smoothly. Any woman who tried to inch closer got slapped back with one sugary sweet husband from me. Michael laughed and praised my performance. Then wired me 50 grand. Glorious. But come nighttime, I started to panic a little. Michael Palmer lived in a massive penthouse too, with only one master bedroom. The lover's rulebook never mentioned where a sugar baby was supposed to sleep. Awkward and unsure, I knocked on Michael Palmer's bedroom door. "Come in," came his voice. I pushed the door open and immediately slammed it shut with a loud thud. Whoa, was his body always that good? He must have just finished showering. His hair was still wet, droplets trailing down his neck, gliding over the defined ridges of his chest and abs, and disappearing into the towel wrapped low on his hips. My face went up in flames. Michael opened the door again. "What is it?" I couldn't meet his eyes. I looked down, flustered. "Where should I sleep tonight?" He paused, thoughtful, then suddenly stepped forward. One step, then another, until I was pinned against the wall with nowhere to run. He leaned in, his voice laced with unmistakable amusement. "You called me husband, remember? What do you think?" His pecs were practically bouncing off my face. Mortified, I wanted to punch something. Barely held myself back from socking him in the stomach. "Do not hit the sugar daddy. Do not hit the sugar daddy." "I got it," I blurted, then shoved him aside and bolted. In the wrong direction. I ended up hiding in the guest bedroom. But judging by his tone, I was probably supposed to sleep in the master, right? Later that night, I crept into his room in the dark, tiptoeing like a thief. I didn't notice the eyes watching me from the bed, shining mischievously in the shadows. Just as I settled on the edge of the mattress, a strong arm yanked me in. Suddenly, I was engulfed in the scent that was so distinctly Michael Palmer. His voice was low and teasing. "I thought you weren't brave enough to show." My heart was racing wildly, but I kept my tone firm. As if. Months passed in a blur. And I realized, being Michael Palmer's lover was kind of amazing. He was basically a wish-granting turtle in a luxury suit. Just call him husband a few times, and he'd throw money at me. Well, except for that part of the job. That part nearly cost me half my soul. After yet another particularly exhausting round, Michael kissed my forehead. "Just rest for a bit." I groaned and reached a hand out from under the blanket, tugging at his shirt. Then I tied his tie, crookedly. "Don't you dare fix it. Go to work like that. If I come home and see even one wrinkle out of place, you're dead." Then I buried myself back under the covers. That kind of lopsided tie didn't match Michael Palmer's elite image at all. He just laughed and pulled me back out for a kiss. "When did you get this, bratty?" I smirked. "Wanna redo the tie? Pay up." Without blinking, he wired me 100 grand. Greedy little thing. As the payment notification chimed, I happily gave him a neatly knotted replacement. After a proper goodbye kiss, Michael headed off to work. I, on the other hand, slept until nearly noon. Once I felt human again, I hit his private gym and ran through a couple of boxing drills. Felt great. Over the past few weeks, I'd fully mastered the art of being a sugar baby. A little drama kept things spicy. And that stoic, secretly repressed man? Absolutely loved it. He might be my sponsor, but I had him wrapped around my finger. Though my throat hated me for it. Maintaining that soft, sugary voice every day was hell. I'd already gone through several tins of throat lozenges just to survive. That evening, Michael Palmer said he wouldn't be home for dinner. Perfect. Gave me the excuse to take the night off. I called up Kiki, my best friend I hadn't seen in ages. The bar was lit with flashing neon lights, music thumping around us. Kiki cradled a cocktail in her hand and gave me a sly look. "So, would you say you're his girlfriend now?" I answered seriously, like I was clarifying legal terms. In their circle, there's no such thing as a girlfriend. It's called being with. "Oh, so you're with him?" "Exactly." We chatted for a long time about everything and nothing. But somehow, more than half the conversation kept circling back to Michael Palmer. At one point, Kiki gave me a look and let out a sigh. Paige. Don't tell me you're actually starting to believe it when you call him husband. I froze. Something shifted inside me. A strange flicker. Too quick to catch. Then I laughed it off, waving a hand dismissively. No way. I'm a professional. Michael Palmer? It's just about the money. Though I realized, too late, that my voice had gotten a little too soft near the end. Neither of us noticed that a nearby booth had fallen silent. It's getting late. Want to head home? Sure. Just as Kiki reached behind her for her bag, she suddenly shouted, Crap! Where's my purse? I sprang to my feet and scanned the crowd. A suspicious figure slipping through the people caught my eye. Frowning, I pushed through the crowd after them. The moment they noticed me following, they bolted. I chased them down until I cornered them deep in an alley. The thief, breathing hard, pulled a small knife from his pocket. Crazy bitch! I kicked it right out of his hand. Nice try. Did he really think all that boxing practice was for nothing? I dropped my weight, elbowed him sharply, and had him pinned against the wall in seconds. He kept squirming and hurling insults. So I grabbed a fistful of his hair and slammed his head into the wall. You kiss your mother with that mouth? Keep talking and I'll shut it for you. Paige. I heard Kiki calling my name, her voice laced with panic. I was just about to throw a cool little hair flip for flair, when I locked eyes with someone I absolutely didn't expect. Michael Palmer. Oh? The air froze. I slowly looked down at my hand, still firmly pressed against the back of the thief's head. Not exactly innocent. I gave a stiff laugh, then pitched my voice high and sweet. Honey. He was the one who insisted on fusing with the wall, I swear. Michael strode toward me. Security and the police arrived right after. I let go and discreetly wiped my blood-smeared hands on the back of my pants, hiding them behind me. Michael's face had darkened. He grabbed my arm without a word and led me out. I shot Kiki a look over my shoulder, silently mouthing, I'm fine. It wasn't until we were in Michael's car that he finally stopped. He pulled out some wet wipes and kept cleaning my hands over and over. I tried to play it cool. Honey, I'm fine really. Michael Palmer ignored me completely. I swallowed hard and leaned in, trying to act cute. Honey, what are you doing here? Passing by. Oh, well honey you. Before I could finish, he covered my mouth with his hand. His gaze locked on mine, unrelenting. Looking closely, I noticed his eyes were a little red. And when he spoke, there was a low, unmistakable edge of anger in his voice. Paige Keitlinger, don't you have anything else to say? That made me nervous. My heart stuttered like a broken drum. Say what? I bit my lip and blinked at him. My go-to tactic. Pure innocent charm. Next thing I knew, his hand was covering my eyes too. What? What was this now? He couldn't seriously be mad about me catching a thief, right? No way. I reached up and peeled his hand away, stubbornly wedging my fingers into his palm. Then I turned my voice to full sugar mode, practically smoking with effort. Honey, are you mad at me? Michael stared at me for a moment, then finally looked away. His Adam's apple bobbed. He pulled his hand back. Let's go home. I stared at my now empty palm. Yep. Still mad. The ride home was quiet. Michael in the back seat, eyes closed, pretending to rest while the driver took us back. I watched him openly the whole way. Was he repulsed by me now? Because he realized his sweet, obedient sugar baby was actually some back alley brawler? Oof. That might actually be it. I looked down at my hands. Eventually spotted a faint scab on the back of one. Perfect. I held it up right under his nose. Ow, look, it hurts. Michael's eyes snapped open. You're hurt? Where? Huh. He looked at the tiny healing scrape. Then slowly closed his eyes again. Back at the apartment, Michael said nothing as he disappeared into the bathroom. I seized the opportunity and texted my brother for advice. He sent me a file titled, 108 Ways to Appease a Sugar Daddy. Are you kidding me? I flipped through it, and instantly turned beet red. Still, I picked one of the more mild options. I went into Michael's closet, picked out one of his shirts, and changed. Soon after, the bathroom door opened, releasing a cloud of warm steam. Michael stepped out, towel in hand, rubbing at his damp hair. His voice was deliberately casual. "I'll be in the study. I have some work too." He froze mid-sentence when he saw what I was wearing. His breathing deepened, his eyes darkened. I licked my lips, slipped off the bed, and walked slowly toward him. Just as I reached him, he suddenly grabbed a huge bath towel and wrapped it tightly around me. His voice came out low and furious, like it was clawing its way through clenched teeth. "Paige Keitlinger. What? You?" Michael Palmer threw me back onto the bed and wrapped me in yet another layer of blankets. "You're sleeping alone tonight." And with that, he stormed out without so much as a glance back. A second later, the door to the study slammed shut with a thunderous bang. I writhed like a confused little worm under the covers, twisting and flopping around. It took me a while, but I eventually wriggled free. I knelt on the bed, dazed. One thing was painfully clear. Michael Palmer was mad at me. Seriously? He was that upset? What, was it because I hit someone? Come on, it wasn't like I beat up an innocent guy. It was a thief. Somehow, the injustice made me feel even more aggrieved. I sat there in a sulk. Eventually, I trudged toward the edge of the bed, slipped into my slippers, and went to find some pajamas. I hadn't gotten far before. I was suddenly lifted off the ground in a bridal carry. I yelped. Before I could even process what was happening, I was flung back onto the bed. A warm, heavy body followed instantly, hovering over me. I looked up and saw Michael Palmer, jaw tight, lips pressed in a straight, unrelenting line. I nearly burst into laughter. But I held it in, and instead gave him an out. I looped my arms around his neck and murmured, "Honey, don't be mad anymore." His answer was a kiss, urgent, possessive, and relentless. We were both lost in it until he suddenly stopped, panting slightly, braced on either side of me. Then he whispered hoarsely, "Paige, do you love me?" I whimpered in response, a little breathless. "Love you the most, honey." His hand suddenly covered my mouth. His eyes still burned with desire, but his expression had darkened. "Don't call me honey. Say my name." "What?" Confused but obedient, I tried. Michael." Worried I hadn't given enough emotional value, I added sweetly, "I love you. I love Michael Palmer." The rest of that sentence broke apart into fragments, swallowed by gasps and soft cries. Afterwards, I was too exhausted to say a word. I leaned against his chest, letting him do whatever he wanted. Smooth my hair, trace my spine, pinch my cheeks. Sleep was beginning to pull me under, when I felt a sudden bite on the tip of my ear. His voice came low and rough against my skin. "Paige, if I went bankrupt, would you still love me?" The bite snapped me briefly out of my daze. Still half asleep, I groped for his chest and muttered, "Honey, don't go bankrupt." He gave a low chuckle. Heh. The next morning, by the time I woke up, his side of the bed had already gone cold. I groaned, rubbed my aching waist, then stumbled to the bathroom. One look in the mirror had me sucking in a sharp breath. Red, purple, blue. I was practically covered in artfully scattered marks. Honestly? Almost looked like abstract flowers blooming. I threw on a shirt with a smaller neckline and headed out to find breakfast. Aunt May had already prepared the meal. I sat at the table, picking at my food absent-mindedly. Something felt off. Like a piece of me was missing. I grabbed my phone and started scrolling, hunting for the source of that nagging emptiness. And finally, I found it. Michael Palmer hadn't sent me any money today. He'd said he'd give me $200,000 a month. But in reality, it was way more than that. He'd send money any chance he got. Added up, it was easily $2 million a month. And after last night's high-intensity workout, he didn't transfer a single cent. Then his strange question from the night before suddenly echoed in my head. Paige Keitlinger, if I went bankrupt, would you still love me? My whole body stiffened. Crap. Did Michael Palmer go bankrupt? I spent the whole day riddled with anxiety. When he finally came home from work, I was still determined to play the perfect sugar baby. I trotted over sweetly and took his suit jacket from him. Honey, you've worked so hard today. Michael didn't even look at me. His voice was distant, cold. My heart sank like a stone. Still, I grabbed his hand and guided him to the dining table. Aunt May made all your favorites tonight. Michael brushed me off, headed upstairs alone, tossing a weightless sentence over his shoulder. I already ate at the office. You go ahead. Okay, this really felt like the end. I stood outside his study for a while, nerves tangled in knots. But eventually, I decided. Go big or go home. I marched right in and plopped myself onto his lap. Clear objective. Zero hesitation. Honey, did you forget something today? Michael shot me a cold glance. Oh, you finally noticed. I stared at him, anticipating the answer. He opened his mouth. I opened mine. In unison. Transfer the money. Morning kiss. Oh? We both froze, staring at each other, eyes wide with mutual betrayal. I recovered first, cupped his face and planted a huge smacking kiss on his lips. Yes. Morning kiss. That's totally what I meant. Michael's temple twitched, veins throbbing. He gritted his teeth. Paige Keitlinger. You really do only love my money. No way. I pouted so hard my lips could have poked someone's eye out. Then kissed him again. Honey, give me another kiss. He slapped a hand over my mouth, grabbed the back of my shirt, and yeeted me out of the study. Leaning against the doorframe, face dark as thunderclouds, he growled. Paige, aside from the fixed $200,000 a month, you're not getting another cent from me. TCH. Stingy little thing. That night, I launched another full offensive. As the saying goes, if one round doesn't cool his temper, try two. And if that still doesn't work, go for three. But Michael Palmer was dead set on ignoring me. Completely unmoved. Like some monk who'd achieved spiritual enlightenment. No matter how I teased, tempted or taunted, he didn't budge. Well, okay. Some parts of him definitely budged. But he still refused to give in. His ears and neck were flushed red, like he might combust at any second, but he just clutched a pillow to his waist like a life raft. Paige Keitlinger. Even if you stand there doing that, I still won't fall for it. And then he fled to his study. I was still sprawled out on the bed in a perfectly seductive pose. Honestly, I was offended. Getting rejected that hard? Rare. Fine. Let's see how long he can hold out. If there's one thing I've got on lock, it's how to handle Michael Palmer. So I made it my personal mission. Every day, I came up with new tactics to seduce him. Magical attacks. Physical attacks. Psychological warfare. Every sneaky little trick I could think of. I tried it. He got close. So close. I saw him fumble with his phone, opening the banking app, even start typing his password. But then, nothing. Was he seriously just sticking to the original deal this month? Only 200 grand. Going from luxury back to budget was rough. Then one day, Kiki called me out, said she had something big to tell me. We met up at our usual spot. Bar, neon lights, strong drinks. She pulled out her phone and showed me a photo. Is this the Michael Palmer you've been talking about? I saw this on someone's story and thought he looked familiar. I frowned. It was Michael Palmer. In the picture, he was with a woman. The two of them were close. Too close. No matter how you looked at it, there was no way to explain it as innocent. Kiki watched my face. Babe. Got it. I kept my voice as calm as possible. Michael's just my sponsor. It's about money, not feelings. If only the weight on my chest didn't make it feel like I couldn't breathe. I tilted my head back and drained my glass. The bitterness lingered on my tongue, sharp and heavy. Then another. And another. As if drowning my throat could drown out the sting in my heart. By the time Kiki put me in a cab and sent me home, it was already late. I was drunk, but not totally gone. I fumbled with the keypad and finally managed to unlock the door. The bright lights in the living room made me squint. Michael Palmer was standing there, eyes red. So you do remember how to come home? Fair enough. Ever since becoming his lover, I'd never stayed out late. Always waited dutifully for him to come back. But I guess that chapter was over. I scoffed. What, like it's your business? My legs gave out a little, and he caught me before I hit the floor. His voice trembled, just barely. Paige. So you're not even pretending anymore? Damn right I'm not. I yanked my purse off my shoulder and chucked it at his chest. The hard corner hit him squarely. Probably hurt. I didn't care. I'm done pretending. His Adam's apple bobbed hard. His arms trembled as he held me tighter, refusing to let go. Something warm dripped onto my cheek. I didn't stop to think about what it was. I was too tired. Sleep came first. I woke up clean and comfortable. Michael must have cleaned me up. But the silence between us remained. A cold war, but only one of us seemed to be fighting. We lived under the same roof. Yet I hadn't seen him in days. No talking. No eye contact. No nothing. On what I guessed was day 7 of the silent treatment, a huge bank transfer hit my account. 20 million. From Michael Palmer. I was still staring at it, stunned, when the doorbell rang. I glanced at the time. Michael Palmer wasn't supposed to be off work yet. Thinking it was just the housekeeper, I opened the door without much thought. But standing there was a strikingly beautiful girl. One I vaguely recognized. The moment she saw me, she raised a perfectly arched brow. So you're the little plaything Michael's been keeping? Then it hit me. The girl from the photo. In person, she was 100 times more stunning. If I saw her walking down the street, I might even whistle at her myself. I poured her a glass of water and asked calmly, "Is there something you need?" A flicker of disdain crossed her eyes. How do you even have the nerve to be here? I wasn't angry, just confused. What kind of sugar baby holds a 9 to 5? If a sugar baby's working, it just means the sponsor's broke. Your Michael doesn't seem that useless. You! She shot to her feet, jabbing a finger in my face, before composing herself and sitting back down with all the poise of a smug white peacock. It's fine. Michael and we're getting engaged. She lifted her hand proudly. A massive pink diamond sparkled on her ring finger. I blinked. I knew that ring. I'd once whined to Michael Palmer that I wanted a pink diamond. He never brought it up again. Now I knew why. I forced a smile. So those 20 million were just my severance pay. I'd braced for this moment. Still stung like hell. I sighed. Suit yourself. I stood up, ready to leave. But she suddenly grabbed my arm. Her manicured nails dug sharply into my skin. I didn't say you could leave. I frowned and shook her off with a little more force. Still trying to hold on to the last shred of patience. What else do you want? You. Shouldn't you apologize to me? That was it. I rolled my eyes. You're insane. Her already wide eyes went even wider. You dared insult me? I ignored her and turned to walk away. But she yanked my arm again, harder this time. Her nails bit deep. I slapped her. A clean, sharp crack echoed through the room. If you hadn't blocked me, my suitcase would already be packed by now. She clutched her cheek, eyes filling instantly with tears. You hit me. Then she lunged, grabbing my hair and slamming my head toward the wall. Sure, she couldn't beat me. But she had my hair. Rookie mistake. Always tie your hair up before a fight. Pain exploded across my scalp. Gritting my teeth, I grabbed her collar and flipped her over my shoulder in one swift motion. My hair tore away with her hand. Fresh strands, follicles and all, still wrapped in her fingers. A dark clump dropped to the floor. My eyes stung with involuntary tears. From the agony, she landed on the sofa, wailing like her world had ended. And right at that moment, the front door opened again. She glanced over, then immediately pointed at me, sobbing theatrically. Michael! She hit me! My pupils shrank. I turned slowly, eyes bouncing between the two of them. My lips trembled, hair disheveled, breath shallow and shaky. All the hurt, the neglect, the unspoken frustration. It all surged at once. I bit my lip hard, holding it in. Barely. In the few seconds it took for Michael Palmer to rush toward me, everything suddenly became crystal clear. He wasn't going to defend me. So why not take control myself? I looked up and saw my reflection in his eyes, wide, frantic and filled with worry. He reached for me. I reached too. But just as our fingertips were about to meet, I took a step forward, grabbed his wrist, twisted around, bent my leg, and clamped my other hand down on his shoulder joint. Then, with one sharp movement, I threw him straight to the floor. His stunned expression didn't even have time to register before he landed with a heavy thud. Red-eyed, I stepped onto his chest and said each word loud and clear. I'm the one dumping you. Rule number 1 in the Sugar Baby Code. Never hit the sponsor. But if you do, run. I didn't even bother grabbing my suitcase. Wearing nothing but my house slippers, I bolted. Michael Palmer's penthouse was on the 28th floor. No time to wait for the elevator. I yanked open the stairwell door and started flying down the steps, 2 and 3 at a time. But eventually, my steps slowed. The anger that had been boiling in my gut melted into something hotter and more miserable. Tears. The place on my scalp where she'd ripped out my hair still stung like needles. But my chest hurt even worse. My legs turned to jelly. I couldn't run anymore. I had no idea what floor I was on. I collapsed against the wall, knees pulled to my chest, head buried deep between them. My tears soaked through my clothes. I scolded myself for being such a mess. Wiped my nose with the back of my hand, smearing my entire face in the process. Then, alone in that empty stairwell, I shouted, Michael Palmer, you damn turtle bastard. You side with love over logic. You emotionally neglectful coward. You're the human version of instant noodles with no seasoning packet. You'll never get it up again in your life. That last curse echoed off the walls like a war cry. I sniffled, exhausted. Fine. I should just go home. Tell my dad and brother to pack up. Take anything valuable and run. I hastily wiped my tears away. But just then, a familiar voice floated up from a few floors below. I've been wrongfully accused, Your Majesty. I jumped, gasped mid-breath, choking on surprise, which triggered a bout of hiccups. Why are you here? Michael Palmer climbed up the stairs, panting. He reached me, eyes filled with a helpless sort of amusement. He crouched slightly and gently brushed my cheek. Who gets into a fight, runs off, and then ends up crying alone in a stairwell? My lips wobbled. Tears I just swallowed back rushed to the surface again. I turned my head away. Not your business, hick. What do you want? Michael sat down 2 steps below me, so he had to look up slightly to meet my gaze. I came to ask you not to leave me. Me, ? What's with that look? I'm not gonna be someone's, mistress. The hiccups were killing me. My stomach kept spasming, my words coming out all broken and tangled. Michael Palmer stared at me, then burst into laughter. Let's head outside, yeah? Get rid of those hiccups first, then we'll talk. Talk your ass. Hick. I slapped a hand over my mouth and thumped my chest. Michael, halfway to standing, paused, then sat right back down. All right, fine. We'll talk right here. When did I ever make you a mistress? She said you two were engaged, Michael. That massive pink diamond. And you just believed her? What if I said I love you? Would you believe that? I froze. Even the hiccups stopped. I shook my head. Nope. I got into a fight for you and you didn't even help me. Men lie for a living. Michael exhaled a dry laugh and pinched my cheeks. Teeth clenched, he gave me a little shake. You think I had time to help you? I stepped in and you threw me with a judo move. He grabbed my hand and pressed it to his forehead. His voice was full of wounded accusation. This. I hit the lamp on the way down. Feel it. Swollen, right? I actually did. It was swollen. I suddenly felt a little guilty, but lifted my chin and mustered my bravado. Yeah. Well, you cold-shouldered me for a week. Can't say that was unfair. Michael furrowed his brow, stayed silent for a moment, then sighed. Transferring assets is complicated. Just clearing things out took me forever. Transferring what assets? He gave me a look colder than ice. You tell me. What assets do you think? Boom. My brain short-circuited. Eyes wide. Blinking. Stunned. Michael gritted his teeth and tugged at my cheeks again. Someone didn't get their allowance and immediately ran off to drink till midnight. Were you gonna bring home another guy next time? Introduce me. I was so scared. I spent the whole night getting paperwork finalized. And you? You threw every trick in the book at me. You threw her onto the sofa, but me? You aimed straight for the marble floor. Paige, you're the unreasonable one here. I sat there in stunned silence. His words filled every aching corner of my chest. Then, he yanked me into his arms, pressed a gentle kiss to the top of my head. Don't leave me. Okay. Whether you love me or just love my money, it's all yours. Everything. Either way, no one in this city has more money than I do. So just stick with me, yeah. His heartbeat pounded hard against my ear, steady and fierce. I gripped the front of his shirt tightly. Completely off topic, I muttered. I hit her first. I started it. I know, he said softly. But I also know Paige doesn't hit people unless they deserve it. A pause. Then a teasing smile in his voice. Except me. You really go for it with me. I punched him twice in the chest. But my voice was already trembling. She yanked my hair. A whole chunk came off. It hurt so bad. Instantly, Michael Palmer's eyes filled with tenderness. He reached out, gently brushing through my hair. Let's go get it back. Get what back? Your hair, obviously. That was your Jenny, your Frandy, your Sophia. He started counting them off on his fingers. Not a single one less. We're collecting all of them. I couldn't help but laugh. He was teasing me about how I once jokingly gave names to my fallen strands of hair. There it is. That smile. New kisses landed, light as feathers, on my eyelids, the tip of my nose, the corner of my lips. I let out a soft sound, nestling closer. Then suddenly remembered something. I pushed him away. Wait. What about that photo? Michael blinked. What photo? I gestured in the air. That one where you and her are all close and cozy. His brows furrowed deeply. I'm not sure. I did see her the other day. Her dad's an investor in one of our projects. But the photo. I'll look into it when we get back. Then the real horror dawned on me. Wait, investor. I hit her. Is this gonna mess things up for you? Michael burst into laughter, pulling me in and kissing me hard. She's just an investor. Trust me, I can't stand her. You did good, babe. I giggled, almost snorted through my nose. You don't hate me? Even though I'm totally just in this for your money? And what if you are? I've got plenty. Take it all. It's yours. What if I run off with it? A flicker of something dark passed through his eyes. His palm slid up to the back of my neck, full of possessive heat. Baby, I'd highly recommend you don't. I shrank back a little. Deflected. Love brain. Only for Paige Keitlinger. Michael tugged me to my feet. Come on. Let's go home. I leapt onto his back, wrapping myself around him. Carry me. All right. We didn't even know which floor we were on anymore. The closest fire exit wouldn't open, so Michael had no choice but to carry me down the stairs. I rested my head against his shoulder and murmured softly, "That thing you said earlier. Can you say it again?" "Which thing?" "You know. That thing." He cleared his throat, voice suddenly serious. "Paige, I love you. So I'm not just some pet you're keeping around? You tell me, who keeps a pet and gives them everything but the moon and stars? What about the pink diamond? You never gave me one. Did you give it to that girl instead? The one you wanted is still in a private vault in Country A. I haven't gotten my hands on it yet. But if you want her diamond..." He smirked. "We can go steal it. Bandit. Better than turtle bastard." We bickered meaninglessly, our voices and footsteps echoing up and down the stairwell. Sunlight filtered in through a corner window. Dust particles danced in the warm light. Michael shifted me slightly on his back, making sure I was still comfortable. "I've said a lot already. Don't you have anything you want to say?" "Like what?" "Someone hasn't called me husband in a while." "Husband?" I answered instantly, with conviction. Not that voice. I paused for 2 seconds. Then turned up the sweetness until it dripped. "You husband." Michael laughed. The light played across his face. He looked different than the first time I'd met him. He'd smiled back then too. But it had been the kind of smirk people wear when watching a show. Now it was something else. Contentment. Joy. It warmed me all over. I leaned closer, whispering in his ear. "I love you too." He raised a brow. "I thought you were only after my money?" "Your money? Didn't you say it's all mine now?" "Fair point. In that case, you be the sponsor. I'll be your sugar baby. Promise I'll serve you well." The end. Thanks for stopping by. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos.